The sterile hum of the hospital room was a relentless reminder of my fragility. The kind of sound that burrows into your bones and makes you feel smaller than you are. I lay there, 38 years old, my body stitched together after an emergency appendectomy that had spiraled into complications: a perforated appendix, infection, a second surgery. The bills were stacking up faster than I could process, and my savings, once a sturdy safety net from years as a cybersecurity analyst, were fraying at the edges. But it wasn't the pain in my abdomen or the financial strain that cut deepest. It was the woman standing at the foot of my bed, her arms crossed, her perfectly manicured nails clicking against the screen of her smartwatch. My sister-in-law, Vanessa Monroe, looked at me like I was an inconvenience, her lips curled into something that wasn't quite a smile. "You're seriously asking us for money?" Vanessa's laugh was sharp, like glass splintering. It bounced off the pale green walls, mocking me. "Lila, come on. We've got our own problems. Inflation's through the roof, the kids need new laptops for school, and we're barely keeping up with the mortgage on that fixer-upper we bought last year." She adjusted the collar of her tailored navy blazer, the kind that screamed she'd spent more on her outfit than I'd spent on groceries in a month. I swallowed, my throat dry from the meds. "Vanessa," I said, my voice softer than I meant it to be, "you and Derek lived in my house for 6 years. Rent-free. I'm not asking for a fortune, just a little help with these bills." I gestured weakly toward the stack of envelopes on the bedside table, each one a reminder of how quickly life could unravel. Her eyes narrowed and she tilted her head, her blonde highlights catching the fluorescent light. "Are we really dragging up the house again? You act like we didn't do you a favor by staying there. We kept it clean, Lila. We fixed the leaky faucet in the guest bath. That's worth something." She paused, her gaze flicking to her watch again. "This isn't our mess to clean up. My name is Lila Marie Harper, and at that moment I was learning a lesson I should have grasped years ago. Family doesn't always mean loyalty. Back in 2018, when Derek's crypto trading venture went belly up, leaving him and Vanessa drowning in debt with 2 preteen daughters, I didn't hesitate. I was 31 then, single with a good job at a tech firm in Portland, Oregon. I just bought a 3-bedroom craftsman bungalow in the Alberta Arts District. A fixer-upper. I poured my heart into restoring original hardwood floors, stained glass windows, the works. When Derek called, his voice shaky, saying they'd lost everything, I opened my door. "It'll be temporary," he'd promised. 6 months tops. 6 months turned into 6 years. Now here I was, tethered to an 4-drip, my savings gutted, and Vanessa was acting like I'd slapped her by asking for help. "The girls need laptops," I echoed, my voice barely above a whisper. "Vanessa, I'm drowning here." She shrugged, her diamond stud earrings glinting. "Don't make it sound so dire. You're the one with the fancy degree, the big tech job. You'll figure it out. Besides, Derek's got a new deal in the works, something huge. We're not exactly liquid right now." Another deal. I'd lost track of Derek's schemascripto, NFTs, some vague consulting gig that never materialized. Each one crashed harder than the last, and somehow I'd always been the one to cushion their fall. Vanessa glanced at her phone, her fingers flying across the screen. "Speaking of, I've got to go. The interior designer's coming to look at our living room. We're thinking of knocking out a wall, opening things up. The vibe's all wrong for my content." She was an aspiring lifestyle influencer, her Instagram a curated grid of latte art, yoga poses, and perfectly staged family moments. I'd seen her posts: "Blessed life, dream chase, reach one, a polished lie." My stomach twisted, and not just from the surgical scars. "Vanessa, you're still in my house. You can't remodel without my permission. You're not even paying rent." She froze for a split second, then flashed a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Let's not get into that now, okay? You need to focus on getting better. We'll talk when you're not so fragile." She leaned down, her perfumey a cloying mix of jasmine and ambition washing over me. "Rest up, Lila." With that, she turned on her heel and glided out, leaving me with the beep of the heart monitor and a sinking feeling I couldn't shake. That evening my best friend Elise Carter showed up. Unlike Vanessa, she didn't come empty-handed. She carried a thermos of homemade chicken noodle soup and a canvas tote stuffed with books, cozy socks, and a tiny potted succulent. Elise was a corporate attorney with a knack for cutting through bullshit, and her presence was like a warm blanket in a storm. Her dark curls were pulled into a messy bun, and her glasses slid down her nose as she set the thermos on the tray table. "You look like hell," she said, but her smile was soft. "How's my favorite code ninja holding up?" I managed a weak laugh. "Barely. Vanessa was here earlier. It didn't go well." Elise's eyebrows shot up. "Oh? Spiel." I recounted the conversation, mimicking Vanessa's dismissive tone, her casual cruelty about the laptops and the remodel. When I got to the part about the house, Elise's expression shifted from curious to wary. "Wait. Back up. She's talking about renovating your place? The one you own?" I nodded, the unease in my chest growing heavier. She brushed it off when I called her out. "Said we'd talk later. But it's my house, Elise. I've been letting them stay there because they had nowhere else to go." But now my voice cracked and I looked away, embarrassed by the tears prickling my eyes. Elise sat on the edge of the bed, her hand resting lightly on mine. "Lila, something's not right. You've checked your property records recently, haven't you?" I blinked, caught off guard. "No. Why would I? I've owned that place since 2017. The deed's in my safe at home." But even as I said it, doubt crept in. The safe was in my home office, which Vanessa's oldest daughter, Chloe, had turned into her bedroom. I hadn't been in there in months, not since I'd started feeling sick, first the fatigue, then the sharp pains that landed me here. Elise pulled her tablet from her bag, her fingers already moving across the screen. "When's the last time you actually saw the deed?" I hesitated. "I don't know. A year ago, maybe. It's locked up. At least I think it is." My voice faltered. The truth was I'd been so caught up in work, then my illness, that I hadn't checked. Vanessa was always fluttering around, handing me papers to sign, utility bills, school forms for the girls, random urgent documents she claimed were no big deal. I trusted her. She was family. Elise's face darkened as she tapped away. "Lila, I'm pulling up the county records. Just to be safe." A few clicks later she froze, her breath catching. She turned the tablet toward me, and my heart plummeted. It was my house, same address, same lot number, but the ownership had changed. A transfer had been filed 4 months ago, right when I'd been in and out of doctors' offices, too foggy to notice much beyond my own pain. The new owner? Derek and Vanessa Monroe. "This can't be real," I whispered, my voice trembling. "I didn't sign anything. I would never." "Are you sure?" Elise's tone was gentle but urgent. "Think, Lila. Any papers they asked you to sign? Anything they rushed you through?" My mind raced. There'd been moments Vanessa sliding a clipboard across the kitchen table saying, "Just a quick signature. It's for the girls' school stuff." Or Derek muttering about tax forms, while I was half asleep on the couch, pain meds dulling my senses. I trusted them. They were my brother and his wife. Why would I question it? "They played me," I said, the words tasting like ash. "They waited until I was weak, and they stole my house." Elise's jaw tightened. "We're not jumping to conclusions yet, but this looks bad. I'm calling in Javier, my fraud guy. He's a pit bull with this kind of thing. We'll do this quietly, no tipping them off until we know exactly what we're dealing with." For the first time since I'd woken up in this hospital bed, something sharper than fear stirred inside me. It wasn't just anger, it was resolve, cold and clear. Like the moment you realize the game's been rigged, but you're still holding a few cards. "Tell me what to do," I said. Elise squeezed my hand. "First you heal. Second we build a case. If they did this, they've left a trail. People like Vanessa don't cover their tracks as well as they think." Over the next week, while I recovered in the hospital, Elise and Javier worked behind the scenes. Javier, a wiry man with a shaved head and a handshake like a vice, showed up with a laptop and a stack of printouts. "Here's what we've got so far," he said, spreading the papers across my tray table. A string of documents, transfer forms, a home equity loan application, even a new insurance policy, all filed in the last 6 months. "Your signature's on every one, but," he tapped a page, his eyes narrowing. "The handwriting's off. Sloppy loops, inconsistent pressure. It's close, but it's not you." I stared at the signatures, my name scrawled in someone else's hand. How did they even get away with this? Javier leaned back, crossing his arms. The notary stamp's a fake. Belongs to a guy who lost his license last year for shady deals. And the timing? Every filing happened when you were at your sickest hospital stays or visits. They knew you wouldn't notice. I thought of Vanessa's hospital visit, her breezy dismissal of my plea for help. The way she'd smirked when she mentioned the remodel, like she was daring me to catch on. She'd been planning this for months, maybe longer, biding her time until I was too broken to fight back. What's next? I asked, my voice steadier than I felt. Elise chimed in, her eyes blazing. We document everything, every forged signature, every shady loan, every conversation you can remember. Javier's digging into their financials to see where the money's going. When you're stronger, we hit them hard. I glanced at the hospital bills, now spilling over the tray table. And in the meantime? Javier grinned, a glint in his eye. We let them think they've won. The more they dig themselves in, the easier it'll be to bury them. I was discharged 10 days later. My body still tender but my mind sharper than it had been in months. Vanessa didn't offer to pick me up. She texted that she was swamped with a photo shoot for her blog. Elise drove me instead. Her SUV a cocoon of quiet support. But when we pulled up to my house, my breath caught in my throat. My Craftsman, once a warm haven of exposed beams and vintage charm, looked like a war zone. A dumpster squatted in the driveway, overflowing with splintered wood and shattered tiles. Through the front window, I saw workers tearing out the kitchen island I'd built myself, the one I'd spent weekends sanding and staining until it gleamed. Vanessa stood on the porch, directing a worker with a sledgehammer like she was staging a magazine spread. She wore a white jumpsuit and oversized sunglasses, her phone propped on a tripod to capture it all for her followers. When she saw me, her smile was all teeth. Lila, you're back. Perfect timing, we're retransforming this place. It's gonna be a total glow-up. I leaned on Elisa's arm, exhaustion and rage warring inside me. Vanessa, this is my house. You can't do this. Her smile didn't falter, but her eyes went cold. Oh honey, let's not get dramatic. It's our home now. You signed it over, remember? A sweet gesture after all we've been through. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. The meds must be messing with your head. Derek appeared in the doorway, his broad shoulders slouched, his eyes avoiding mine. He'd always been the quieter one, letting Vanessa steer the ship while he nodded along. Hey Lila, he mumbled. Good to see you're up. Vanessa cut in before I could respond. Since it's our place now, we think it's best if you recover somewhere else. Construction's loud, messy, not great for healing. Elise has room, right? I felt Elise tense beside me, her hand curling into a fist. I squeezed her arm. Not yet. Of course, I said, forcing a smile. I just need a few things from my room. Oh, we moved your stuff to the garage, Vanessa said, waving a hand. Didn't want it getting dusty. You'll find everything there. So thoughtful, I said, my voice tight. Just my meds and some clothes for now. A worker emerged with a single cardboard box, me medication bag, a few shirts and a pair of jeans tossed together like trash. Vanessa was already back to her phone, narrating the demolition for her followers. This is what vision looks like, you guys. From dated to dreamy. Elise and I drove to her place in silence, the box in my lap a pitiful reminder of how much I'd lost. But when we pulled into her driveway, the dam broke and tears streamed down my face, not from despair, but from a fire I hadn't felt in years. They really think they've won, I whispered. Elise's lips curved into a sly smile. They don't know Javier's already filed a temporary injunction to freeze any more loans. Or that you've got a secret weapon. I turned to her, my heart racing. The cameras. 6 months ago, I'd installed hidden security cameras around the house, not because I suspected fraud, but because I'd been working on a side project for my company, testing IoT devices for vulnerabilities. Tiny lenses tucked into light fixtures, smoke detectors, even the vintage clock on the mantle. I'd never told Vanessa or Derek, figuring I was just being paranoid. Turns out paranoia was my best friend. You didn't trust them as much as you thought, Elise said, her grin widening. Your gut knew something was off. As we unloaded my box at Elise's cozy townhouse, I thought of Vanessa's smug confidence, her belief that I'd stay quiet, like I always had. For years I'd bitten my tongue to keep the peace, convinced family meant sacrifice. Not this time. This time I'd wait, watch, and when the moment was right, I'd take back everything they'd stolen. The next few weeks were a strange limbo. I settled into Elise's guest room, a bright space with a skylight and a quilt her mom had made. My body was healing, but my mind was a battlefield, grief for the family I thought I had, fury at their betrayal, and a growing hunger for justice. Every day I checked the camera feeds, watching Vanessa and Derek turn my home into their personal playground. They ripped out my custom cabinets, replaced my thrift store chandelier with a gaudy LED monstrosity, and painted my warm beige walls a stark influencer white. Each change was a knife to the heart, but I didn't flinch. Every nail they hammered was another piece of evidence. Vanessa was in her element, live streaming the renovations to her growing follower base. "This place was a disaster before we took over," she'd say, panning her phone across my gutted kitchen. "The previous owner had like zero taste. But look at it now, total transformation." Derek hovered in the background, quieter, his face tight whenever she mentioned me. I wondered if he felt guilty, or if he was just scared of getting caught. Javier's updates kept me grounded. "They've taken out a second home equity loan," he told me one evening over takeout at Elise's dining table. 200 grand, no permits for half the work. The contractor's unlicensed and the loan documents? Same fake signatures. They're not even trying to be careful. Elise spread out a timeline she'd built, a mosaic of dates and documents. "The first transfer was filed right after your first ER visit. They waited until you were distracted, then pushed through the rest during your second surgery. It's calculated, Lila." They knew exactly what they were doing. I sipped my tea, my hand steady. "What's our move?" "We've got enough to file now," Javier said. "Fraud, forgery, illegal loans plus the camera footage of them bragging about it." "But," he glanced at Elise, a spark in his eye, "if we wait, they'll dig deeper. Every dollar they spend without legal ownership strengthens your case." I thought of Vanessa's latest post, a video tour of the new living room, captioned "Dream Home Vibes." She was using my stolen house to build her brand, parading it like a trophy. "Let them keep going," I said. "I want them to think they're untouchable." Elise raised an eyebrow. "You're scarier than I thought." "I'm an analyst," I said, a small smile tugging at my lips. "I know how to find patterns and how to break them." That night my phone buzzed with a text from Vanessa. "Kitchen's almost done. Obsessed with the new vibe. When are you grabbing your stuff from the garage? Girls need space for their art projects." I showed it to Elise, who snorted. "They're gonna trash your things, aren't they?" "Probably," I said. "But not if we get there first." The next morning, Elise's brother, Nate, a burly guy with a moving company, pulled up to my house with a rented van. Through the cameras, I watched Vanessa wave him toward the garage. "Take it all," she said, her voice dripping with disdain. "It's just clutter." Nate played his part perfectly, nodding like he was just some hired hand. But instead of dumping my things, he loaded them carefully into the van, me grandmother's cedar chest, my old sketchbooks from college, the pottery I'd made during a community class. By the time he was done, every piece of my life was safe at Elise's storage unit. "Your sister-in-law's a piece of work," Nate texted me later. "Kept calling your stuff junk," while she posed for selfies with a sledgehammer. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened the camera feed and watched Vanessa strut through my house, narrating another live stream. "This is what happens when you take a dated dump and make it iconic," she gushed. Derek lingered behind her, his phone in hand, looking like he wanted to disappear. "Maybe ease up on the posts," he muttered. "What if Lila sees?" Vanessa laughed, the same cruel sound from the hospital. "Lila? Please. She's probably curled up crying at Elise's. Besides, it's ours now. She can't do shit." I closed my laptop, my pulse steady. They had no idea what was coming. As my strength returned, so did my clarity. I started digging into Vanessa's digital footprint, not as her sister-in-law, but as a cybersecurity analyst. Her Instagram was a goldmine of arrogance, every post a breadcrumb leading back to her lies. She'd tagged the contractor, a sketchy outfit called Pinnacle Builds, whose website was a mess of broken links and stock photos. A quick search showed they'd been flagged for shoddy work and missing permits across 3 counties. I cross-referenced their invoices, which Javier had pulled from the loan records, and found overcharges for materials that never showed up on site. Vanessa wasn't just stealing my house, she was getting fleeced by her own accomplices. Then there was Derek. My brother had always been the dreamer, chasing quick riches while I built my life brick by brick. But the cameras caught something I hadn't expected. Late-night calls in the garage, his voice low and frantic. "I told you we're stretched thin," he said to someone on the phone. "The loan's maxed out, and she's spending like it's infinite." I couldn't hear the other side, but his next words chilled me. "If this goes south, I'm not taking the fall alone." Was he planning to double-cross Vanessa? Or was there someone else in on it? I shared the footage with Javier, who rubbed his chin. "Interesting. Sounds like your brother's got his own side hustle. I'll see if I can trace those calls." Meanwhile, Vanessa was planning her grand reveal, a launch party to unveil the new house and cement her status as a lifestyle guru. The cameras caught her barking orders at caterers, florists, even a string quartet. "This is my breakout moment," she told Derek, who was hauling boxes of wine glasses. "No more living in Lila's shadow. This house is mine now." Derek shifted uncomfortably. "Maybe we should have just asked her to sell it. Done it clean." Vanessa scoffed. "Clean? Lila would have clung to this place like a martyr. She loved playing the hero, letting us crash here like we owed her. Well, guess who's the hero now?" I paused the footage, my chest tight. I'd never wanted gratitude, I just wanted family. But Vanessa had twisted my kindness into a weapon, using it to justify her betrayal. For years I'd let her barbs slide, chalking them up to stress, to her need to feel bigger than she was. No more. Elise noticed my silence. "You okay?" "I used to think kindness made me weak," I said, staring at the frozen image of Vanessa's smirk. "That family meant swallowing the hurt to keep everyone happy. But now? I know strength is fighting for what's mine, even if it's against the people who were supposed to love me." Elise poured me a glass of wine. "Damn right. And we're gonna make sure they regret underestimating you." The party was set for Saturday and Vanessa's texts grew bolder. "You should swing by the reveal. House looks unreal, total upgrade from your old vibe." I showed the message to Elise, who laughed. "She's practically begging you to see her gloat." "Oh, I'll be there," I said. "But not as a guest." The week before the party, Javier uncovered the final piece of the puzzle. A third loan, this one for $150,000, pushed through with a forged power of attorney. The funds had gone straight to Pinnacle Builds, but half had been funneled into an offshore account tied to Derek. "Your brother's skimming," Javier said. "He's playing both sides, letting Vanessa run the show while he siphons cash for himself." I wasn't surprised. Derek had always been spineless, happy to let Vanessa take the spotlight while he worked the angles. But knowing he'd betrayed me and her added a new layer to the game. "Does Vanessa know?" I asked.
Javier shrugged.
"Doubt it. She's too busy playing queen to notice he's robbing the castle." Elise laid out the plan. "We hit them at the party, maximum impact, Umber. Public exposure. Javier's got the sheriff's team on standby. The injunction's ready to freeze their accounts, and we've got every scrap of evidence, forged signatures, fake notary, illegal loans, plus your footage. They won't know what hit them." I nodded, my pulse racing. I want her to think she's won. Let her stand there, toasting her victory, right before it all comes crashing down. Javier grinned. "You're a little terrifying, Lila. I like it." The day of the party dawned crisp and bright, the kind of autumn day that makes Portland feel like a postcard. From Elise's car, parked a block away, I watched the chaos unfold through the camera feed. Vanessa was in her element, flitting among guests in a sequin dress, her hair swept into an elaborate updo. The house was unrecognizable, a sterile showpiece of marble counters and recessed lighting. Influencers snapped selfies in front of the new fireplace, clinking champagne flutes under the pergola I'd built with my own hands. Vanessa took the mic, her voice booming through rented speakers. "Welcome to our dream home," she beamed. "When we moved in, this place was stuck in the 90s, dark, dated, dismal. But sometimes, life gives you a chance to rewrite the story, and we turned this disaster into a masterpiece." The crowd cheered, oblivious to the storm brewing. I texted Javier out. Within minutes, the street lit up with red and blue flashes. Sheriff's deputies swarmed the property, their boots crunching on the gravel drive. Vanessa's mic dropped with a screech as an officer stepped forward, his voice cutting through the music. Vanessa and Derek Monroe, we have a warrant for your arrest on charges of property fraud, forgery, and unauthorized loans. Vanessa's champagne flute shattered on the new hardwood, her face a mask of shock. This is absurd, she shrieked. This is our house. We have papers. Forged papers, Javier said, stepping into the fray with a binder of evidence. Fake signatures, a revoked notary, and a trail of loans you had no right to take. It's over. That's when Elise and I walked in, the crowd parting like a sea. Vanessa's eyes locked on mine, her bravado crumbling. Lila? What are you doing? Hello, Vanessa, I said, my voice calm but steel-edged. Nice party. Shame it's in my house. The guests gasped, phones still recording, capturing every second of her downfall. Derek tried to speak, but I cut him off. Save it. You bragged about screwing me over thinking I was too weak to fight back. But every lie, every loan, every smug comment, it's all on tape. Vanessa lunged toward me, but an officer stepped in, cuffs gleaming. You can't do this, she screamed. This is my life. No, I said, meeting her gaze. It's mine. And I'm taking it back. As they were led to the squad cars, the party dissolved into chaos. Influencers scrambling to upload their footage. Vanessa's dream home, now a viral scandal. Elise slung an arm around me. You good? I looked at the wreckage of my house, the remnants of their lies, and felt something new. Peace. Yeah, I said. I really am. 6 months later, I stood in my kitchen, running my fingers along the restored oak cabinets. The court had ordered Vanessa and Derek to repay every cent they'd spent, and I'd used it to rebuild me way. The marble was gone, replaced with butcher block counters I'd sanded myself. The gaudy chandelier was in a landfill, my thrift store find back in its place. Vanessa and Derek took a plea deal, moving to Arizona after her influencer career imploded. Every post now drowned in comments about her arrest. The biggest surprise was their daughters Chloe and Mia. They reached out, ashamed but earnest, and we'd started rebuilding something real. Chloe, now in community college, helped me repaint the guest room one weekend, her quiet apology worth more than any court ruling. Elise and Javier became my anchors, their friendship a reminder that family isn't blood, it's trust. One evening as we shared pizza on my porch, Javier grinned. Your credit's back to pristine and the last loan's cleared. You're free. Thanks to you, I said, raising a slice. Both of you. Elise laughed. You did the heavy lifting, cameras, evidence, nerves of steel. Own it. I looked out at the street, the same one where Vanessa's world had collapsed, and smiled. I'd spent years thinking kindness was a liability, that family meant endless giving. But now I knew better. Strength isn't loud, it's steady, sure, and relentless. It's knowing your worth and fighting for it, no matter who stands in your way. If my story hit home, I'd love to hear from you. What would you do if family betrayed you? How do you find strength when the ground shifts? Share your thoughts, I'm listening. And if you believe in standing tall, spread the word. Let's show the world that the quiet ones, the kind ones, have power too. To anyone out there grappling with betrayal or doubt, your heart isn't a weakness. Protect it, fight for it, and never settle for less than your worth. Real family lifts you up, not pulls you down. Keep searching for them theory out there, and so is your strength.
If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.